Hello, gorgeous soul. Welcome to Susie's Enchanted Crossroads. I'm Susie, and this podcast helps you navigate your journey through the crossroads by taking a deeper look into witchcraft and spirituality. So settle in, grab your beverage of choice, and let's get this episode going. Hello out there. How is everyone doing after that? What was it? The lunar eclipse in Libra. How was that energy? Anybody's world just get rocked to its core? Oh my goodness. Was feeling pretty good. I was pretty heavily fatigued Sunday, but just kind of looking at where Libra and Aries were in my birth chart and trying to fully understand what this lunar eclipse is going to um for lack of better words, like just show me and shove me to my core. And I know lunar eclipses, usually get a bad rap in the sense where people like to fearmonger it, which is what we're going to get into today, actually. However, it's lunar eclipses, solar eclipses are not, their energies can be a little chaotic. Um, you don't really know what you're going to get, but that doesn't mean you cannot work with that energy. You just have to know, one, what you're doing, and two, how it's going to affect you. And like I said previously, for some, like the full moon and the new moon, some people feel energized. They are enjoying the energy. And of course, it depends what sign it's in, right? But they are ready to work with that energy, like how I did for the new moon and the spring equinox when I did my candle spell for the community. Other times, or some people don't do anything at all because the energy affects them in a way where it's kind of draining. They just want to just cozy up and maybe go to bed, maybe crawl under a rock. It really does depend. So I like to work with that energy. That's me personally. And I would invite you to just kind of see and do some research for yourself on how you are feeling with those energies. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And it can be as simple as just taking a bath and reflecting on the energy, um, drinking some tea, and taking it easy. That is all a part of your craft and what you feel called to do. So that's on the lunar eclipse in Libra. Now, I do want to shout out like this little amazing moment that I got. Um, and a little surprised actually, but I want to shout out my Canadian listeners. You're freaking rocking my socks right now. I got an email update of like, how the podcast is doing, where it's at, how many downloads, all that good stuff. And number 86 in the spiritual podcast area of podcasting in Canada. And I should have had it up, but I don't have it. Let me see if I can bring this up quickly. But I was shocked. And at first, my first thing is like, is this a scam? Is it trying to like make me click somewhere or whatnot? But no, actually, it was legit. There was no scam or anything like that or clickbait or anything. It was legit. So I just want to shout out my Canadian listeners out there and all of my listeners out there. It was a good little surprise to see that. So thank you. I appreciate you. I always appreciate all my listeners. And just a reminder that, when you interact, when you download, when you save the show, I think on Spotify you can add like comments. I'm not really sure, but at least on Apple Podcasts, I know that you can, leave a review and all that. I do read that. And thank you so much for all the love on Instagram and on TikTok. And that's another way for me to push my podcast out there. So far, you're loving the content. And again, when you are listening to this podcast, when you scroll down in the show notes, there's a couple of links there. Some links are going to send you to my website, other links are going to send you to my socials. But there is a link there that if you have an idea for a topic, or you have a question, put that in there and it'll get sent to me so that I can hear and read what you're interested in so I can do some research or at least answer some questions here live. Um, so anyways, that was my little tidbit. So I just wanted to tell you how grateful I am. All right. Beginner Witch 101. What does this mean? So the craft is getting a lot of, it's very popular right now, right? Everyone wants to do it. However, not everyone is taking the steps in order to do it correctly, or at least to understand the craft itself. So we're going to go back to the very basics, right? Which basics? And the reason for this being the third episode, I had my intro, who I am, what this was about. The last episode was about what even our witch is, a little bit of history, and maybe a witch that you might feel called to, hedge witch, whichever, right? But now we're getting back to the very basics, and this is really for my witches out there that are maybe coming into their spirituality. They have some questions, they want to try on their own, or they just want to do some basic things every day to bring some magic into their lives. Now, can you skip the basics? Well, just like anything, sure, you can, but I invite you to think of why you would want that. Why do you want to skip the very true fundamentals and the basic skills that are recommended for witches and go straight to the binding love spell? Because it's just like learning anything new. It's okay to be new. It's okay to be like in tarot, the page, learning. This is brand new to you. And asking the questions, doing the research. Why would you want to skip that? Because the basics that I'm going to get into today are a wonderful part of your practice, number one. And that way you are in control of what is happening in whatever it is that you are doing. So, and there was this whole thing right on which talk, but anyway, we won't go there. But there was a lot of things like if you were to open any of your social media and you look for a tarot reader, there are some readers out there that are just doing it to get the likes and to get the follows. Very dangerous, number one. And number two, how very irresponsible to take advantage of people that are really looking to maybe an answer. Now, I get what you're saying, like, well, maybe you shouldn't really be taking things like that too seriously because obviously the algorithm, right, is gonna if you like one thing or you're you're on a video like for 3 seconds, like, oh, you like this, let's send you more and push it. So you want to be knowledgeable in what you're doing. And this is really for you to process what you're doing, just like when you are a baby, you do learn to crawl and then walk and then run. And I know some of you out there were like, well, actually, I just was born walking. Okay, cool. But for the majority of us, we start with quote unquote baby steps. before you got on the bike, you had some training wheels. So everything has a process, and getting into witchcraft and spirituality is the same thing. So I know it sounds so boring, like grounding, cleansing, warding, ugh, how boring. But if a spell is starting to go sideways, you want to be able to know what to do to either bring the chaos, bring it back in, or how to extinguish the spell itself. So you want to make sure that you are equipped with something like that just in case something were to go awry. When you don't have a foundation, let's say you don't know how to ground yourself and you're heightened and your emotions are really running what's going on, it can start creating a lot of issues in the craft and whatever you're doing. So, how can you do a clarity spell when you don't ground yourself, when you don't cleanse your space, you don't know what herbs you're using, and instead of getting a clarity spell jar, all of a sudden you have chaos in a in a containment in a jar. And another way to maybe you already skipped the steps and you're like, well, shit. Oops, maybe that's why I feel exhausted. Maybe that's why my emotions are heightened and I'm biting everyone's head off, or I feel like I want to cry. So you want to be able to fix at least, small little problems or an imbalance, but you want to start whatever it is that you're doing off on the right foot. That's the whole point, right? You don't want to have to work your way backwards. And not to say that when you do all these things that everything's going to go peachy keen. I mean, this is how we learn. But you want to get the basics down. You want to make sure you have the fundamental skills, that you have the right tools, and that you know the tools that you're using, that you're not just grabbing stuff willy-nilly from like the thrift shop, or you're not cleansing that sucker knowing that something could be attached to it. And if something's attached to it, and then you're starting to do all this spell work, and then you don't even understand how those energies or spirits that are attached to them could really put a hinder on whatever it is you're doing, and then make itself right at home in your space and like around you. So that's why I wanted to start that. If you're thinking, I don't need to know that, why do you think you don't know it? Why do you feel comfortable enough just grabbing anything and just going for it? Why don't you want to experience these new things? I'm going to take a sip. Just gnaw on that for a little bit. There could be also a real danger when you skip these foundational practices and not just, oh, an attachment or a spirit can come through. But I'm also talking about when you don't know the safety of how things might interact in a situation. So if you don't know what herbs you just buy off TikTok shop or at your botanica, you're just grabbing stuff and you're not doing your due diligence in research. What if what you picked up, that herb, and you're like, oh, I saw this video and they're just burning a bunch of herbs, and you start burning that herb. You don't know if it's toxic when it's burning versus it's fine and non-toxic when you handle it. But when you add fire, the smoke is toxic. Maybe not to you, but what about your pets? What about other people that are in your space or coming into your space? So it's not just about to prevent like, the energies and things like that from coming to you. Of course, that is part of it, but it's also Making sure your space is safe. What are you gonna do if you're doing a cord cutting and you have no idea how to put out a fire because you used too many herbs, or maybe you didn't really recognize the situation, and those candles and everything just be going wild. You want to make sure that you are safe above anything else. And of course, if you're gonna do something, do it right. You're going to do a candle spell, as easy and simple as it is, and very low energy, very simple. Once you start dressing a candle and doing all these things, you still need to watch the candle, make sure that nothing happens, the glass doesn't break, etc., etc. And if those things were to happen, because that can happen to anybody, trying to figure out what happened. And if you can take things back and be like, well, I casted my circle, I invited my guides in for protection. This is exactly what I put in the candle, or this is the ritual that I said, or the sigil that I wrote, the oils that I incorporated. Maybe it was none of that, and you just lit it with your intention and your chanting. What does it mean? Why is it all of a sudden there's a bunch of black smoke? So all those things you need to take into account. Is it energy of the spell that you're casting, or is it something having to do with the tools that you are using? So very, 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 very important, I feel, to start with the basics. And here we are, if you're still with me, and I hope you are, because it's very, very important. Okay, so let's start from the top. You're ready to learn how to at least take care of your energy, which I will always have beginner witches, someone just coming into the craft or spirituality, start there. Because you are the conduit of your energy and the magic. It is very easy for you to click on the links in the show notes and book a session with me, either tarot or Reiki. And I, as the working practitioner, I know what I'm doing. I know how to ground, cleanse. I know how to get you into a good energy space, and then do the workings, right? I know to do everything for your highest good and your highest vibration, right? But that's me, going through the motions, and actually not just going through the motions, but actually doing the research. So you need to familiar yourselves first and foremost with your space. Are you inside or outside? Are you working with fire? What element are you working with? If you are working with fire, do you have a fireproof dish? Very important. Is there anything in the area that could catch fire should something were to pop? Do you know how to extinguish that fire? If you're working with glass, or crystals, making sure that the hardness of the crystal, what the crystal is being used for, if you're just holding it or if you're actually putting it, is it water safe? Is it salt safe? So you need to know your space. How about your pets? How about little ones running around? Even your big adult humans, we're very curious. So it's like, ooh, what's that? And you want to make sure everybody knows what you are doing. Okay, that is very, very, very important. So you want to make sure you have ventilation. Maybe you have a fire extinguisher, or you know what to put on a fire to extinguish it. Make sure pets and kiddos are away or in a safe space, and also doing the research. If you're burning something, is the smoke non-toxic, especially to birds, and I think even like, well, any animal, or reptiles also. So I know we all got different pets at home. And then look at your tools. So some witches love to use a wand of some sort. And understand, and we'll get into that because that's a whole other thing, but understanding your tools. So if you're using a wand, what type of wood is it? What is the meaning with that type of wood that it is made out of? Maybe it's a crystal one. What is that crystal? Is it labradorite, to enhance? Is it amethyst to really bring in and open up that third eye? What is it used for? I do have crystal points that I actually use, kind of like a wand, but it really directs the energy where I want it to go, those crystal points. And crystal's gonna take its own whole ass episode, but even the way the crystal is it in raw form? Is it a point? Is it or is it double pointed, a tower? Is it a sphere? All of those end up generating and expanding that energy very, very differently. What else? What else? What else? I think I said inside, outside. All of this is like your typical make sure that you are safe, whatever it is that you're doing. Even if you were dancing outside naked under the full moon, just making sure that, you're wearing the correct footwear, you're not going to trip and fall on something, you know what I mean? Like actually clearing your space out. And, if you're feeling good and going clad outside, and, and just bathing in the moonbeams is fucking awesome. Psh, you go. And also just making sure you're safe and your neighbors aren't like, peering over and taking pictures or anything like that, okay? Okay, so that's basically like safety. All right. Your magical well-being, like your hygiene, okay? And we're going to get into getting prepared for what you're going to do. So we're going to start with cleansing. Cleansing gives you the abilities, obviously, to cleanse and clear your space. So if you think of maybe you have a table, a desk, and it's gotten really cluttered, there's a lot of dust on that space, and there's just like receipts and just a bunch of stuff on this desk. You want to go ahead and start clearing and cleansing it out, right? So you remove everything off the table. Maybe you get some wood cleaner or something to remove all the dust. Then as we start to put things back on the desk, what is going on the desk and what is going in the trash. So you're cleansing and you're removing things. Not that any of those things were negative, but they had those negative energies and as well as positive energies. And those things, just think of yourself that way, cling to you and your space and your tools. Okay, so your cleansing ritual needs to be done before you start doing whatever it is you're doing. And don't worry, none of this has to be like a big old shabam spiel thing. Once you get comfortable in it, basically you're just like, all right, any energies that are not here for my highest good and my highest vibrations, you are not welcome here. You need to leave. I'm cleaning off the area, etc., etc. You might use some bells. You can use, if you have moon water and you put maybe some Florida water in there, mix it up, or some lemon, some salt, real easy, cleansing your space as you are removing any negative or stagnant energy. And same thing with your tools, as long as it's, water safe and all that stuff. But you can also use incense. So all of that is just to cleanse the energy. You can even use some oils, calling in your guides to maybe you have a specific guide or ancestor where their job is to cleanse the energy around you. So however, whatever works for you, there's just so many multiple methods that you can actually do that. But this is a skill that you will regularly do to prevent any extra shit you gotta clean up in the middle of your spell or in the middle of your ritual. So that's the number one thing is cleansing. And actually, ooh, my notebook is on my other table. So, let's take this time to take a little sip while I grab my notes. I just happened to move it. Okay. Okay. Da, 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 da. Okay, so I normally use smoke cleansing. So those are incense. Um, Maybe you even burn some, like maybe some rosemary because that has like protective elements like on a charcoal disc. And I have a mini cauldron, and I bought those little round charcoal discs on Amazon. It was super cheap, and that's what I like to throw like my herbs on and just kind of waft the smoke around. We don't say smudging, okay? I just do want to point that out because that term belongs to a close practice. And I also want you to be mindful of where you're going to grab like herb bundles. Like if it's at Five Below, that is mm-mm, mm-mm. Like no, like I said, spirituality and the craft, witchcraft is like gaining a lot of popularity, and now everybody just wants to make a quick buck. So you need to be very, very cognizant of like where you're getting your stuff from. Make sure it's from a reputable source, and whatever it is that they're selling you, that like white sage, for example, everybody's like, oh, I need to get white sage because that's how I cleanse my space and bring in the blah, 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 and all this stuff. But you have no idea that it's endangered of being, I mean, it's just been harvested to the point where it's in danger of no longer existing. And that is, anyway, I can go on a whole, I probably should talk about white sage. Maybe I'll do that as a bonus episode, but so I'm going to start going on a little tangent. So I'm just going to write that down. White sage episode and smudging what it is. There are things that belong to certain cultures that need to stay with certain cultures because once you start crossing over the line and just because you want to do it and you shouldn't gatekeep, we don't play that here, okay? We are very, very respectful of everybody. So again, you can use dry plants like lavender and rosemary, cedar. Oh, beautiful. Like those are things that you can cleanse your space. So again, it could be loose, it could be an incense stick, anything like that. Putting it in a little fire safe dish where you can light it and you don't have to worry about it. If you are smoke sensitive or someone in your space is smoke sensitive, like pets, you can ring bells. You can even use a visualization. Okay, like you close your eyes and you can literally see maybe a light expanding from within you, and all of your space just pushes any negative or stagnant energy away. And you can also use a cleansing spray, like I said before. And sometimes it's as easy as just maybe some moon water or water with salt in it. Shake that sucker up. You can even put in drops of essential oils like rosemary or lemon with those types of properties and spray your space with that incantation. Like any negative and stagnant energies is cleared from my space. My tools are cleansed, ready to go. And it's almost like it's a clean slate. And I think that's all I have. You can even have music. Like if you have just a song that just resonates with that clearing and cleansing, or binaural beats also, or like a sound bowl. Those are things that you're gonna find are for your best practice. Okay. All right. Now, warding. Warding allows you to create walls around you and your space and protect you and your space from outside energies, right? Outside influences. So basically, it's when you're doing basic protections and wardings like that, it's me making sure that when I'm at the store, that I not only lock my car doors, but I beep beep set the alarm. Okay, so it's just like that. You are warding. because I don't want anyone just to be able to open my car doors and take whatever they want, no. So that's what that is. It's very, very true in the space that you're doing. So if you have a plan to come home and let's say you had a long day and you want to pull some tarot cards for yourself. Or let me go a little bit more basic. Let's say you are getting ready to take a shower because it's been a long day and you just want in and out. You don't have time to rest in a bath. Or maybe you don't even like baths and showers are more your thing. So you already cleansed your space and you bring in a bowl of moon water and you're adding herbs to it and you mix it and you are charging it. Now, let's say you didn't ward yourself and then you were too busy cleansing your space. You forgot to cleanse yourself. When you have these wards up on you, um, that protects whatever it is that you're doing for other people's energy not to get into whatever it is you are creating. So in this case, we're trying to relax and wash away whatever it is, like this anger and resentment and this guilt that's all, tumbled up inside you, and so that you can release. But since you don't know how to ward yourself, and you forgot to cleanse, everybody's energy that's on you, maybe a coworker was just venting to you, and so instead of being able for that energy to roll right off you, it's starting to affect you and it's going into your spell. And instead of feeling all of the beautiful effects of your spell work, I mean, it somewhat works, but you're still feeling a certain type of way. It's because those outside energies are coming into your space. So the best thing that helps as far as warding, so you already cleansed all your space, is to cast a circle. So casting a circle is used specifically to protect your magical working. So you can cast a circle with your just your light, with your energy. Again, you can call an ancestor or maybe a spirit guide because you feel comfortable with that. You can use the elements. So you envision the different elements, right? So you have earth and water, and you're bringing in all the elements as well as spirit to cast that circle around you so nothing can get in. So you are protecting yourself, you are protecting your home or your space, and you are protecting your spell or your ritual or what have you. You can also ward your home. And when you ward your home, then it's like, okay, we're good. I know my home is warded. I'll just cast a quick circle around what I'm going to do just as an extra precaution and you're set to go. So I like things like crystal grids around the home, some black salt, rue. Even if you had the intention, because let's say, you don't practice outwardly, and we'll get into like quote unquote broom closet stuff. When you do that, or I'm sorry, if you can't practice outright like that, like people are like, why are you sprinkling black salt? Why are you have all these weird rocks everywhere? Not that it's your business, but I totally get it. Just having certain plants around your home with protective energies, and you give that plant a job, that is also warding your space. So even if, let's say, you share the space with other people, a roommate, family, even if you share a room, you can still ward your space. Who's going to think you're weird if you have a plant in your room? Nobody. That's not a weird thing. Um, so that's just a really easy way for you to do that. All right, cool. You got your wards up. You have already cleansed. So let's talk about grounding. And just like everything else that I've mentioned, you're gonna you're going to try different things. Let me try a smoke cleanse with loose herbs. That's too much work. Let me try an incense, whatever. Let me try black salt. Let me try crystal grid. And you'll find your groove, whatever goes with you. Grounding is very important because when we go out into the world, our day-to-day lives, things can push and pull us, right? Things can pull us out of our energy, out of our positive, balanced energy. And maybe we take on other people's worries and energy. Maybe something happened and now our energy is off balance. I mean, who knows? If it's not someone, it's a situation or it's the cosmos, right? We just had a lunar eclipse. And that can really make you feel a whole bunch of things like discomfort. I mean, just overall, there's an imbalance. You might feel shitty, angry, whatever. So grounding allows you to rebalance that energy so that way when you start your work, you're not just going into it, like I said earlier, with all these heightened emotions and you're just doing it to do it. Because then you start mixing in a whole other different things that you didn't maybe want in there, right? So, um, what else do I want to say about grounding? Different ways to ground. And really, one of the easiest ways is just to set your feet on the floor. If you can without shoes, you can go outside maybe and just place your feet in some grass or right on the dirt or wherever. Um, and just feeling your feet on the floor. If you felt comfortable, you can close your eyes and just taking it like at least three, but if you can do about 5 or 6 deep breaths, even better. So just when you take your deep breath in and you exhale out through your mouth, that just gives you a reset, just right off the bat. And then on your next inhale and exhaling out your mouth, maybe we really feel the earth beneath our feet. Now, whether you're on carpet, tile, outside in the grass, whatever, you are feeling that connection to earth. And just envisioning that grounded energy coming up the soles of the feet. Or maybe imagining that you have two big magnet discs on the soles of your feet and you are just being pulled to the earth's core. So nothing can rock you. Nothing. Another thing you could do is maybe have a grounding oil. I love my oils. I create oils because I just really fell in love with them in my practice. Having a roller oil just ready to go in my bag and in my desk, like who's gonna know? Nobody's gonna know. Even the dropper oils that I have, I just give it. And the thing is that I put crystal chips in mine and just giving it a shake and sometimes just closing my eyes and hearing the little jingles. Like I have one here, but I don't know if the mic will pick it up. Hopefully it'll pick it up. But just those little jingles. I like to make mine a little aesthetic, so sometimes if it's on my desk and I just give it a shake and just kind of see the herbs and the flowers floating, coming alive after they had just been settled on the bottom of the bottle, giving it a good shake. That is also very good for me. Maybe you have a playlist that automatically grounds you. Maybe in order to do a big spell that you know is going to take energy, you need to take an invigorating shower or a relaxing bath. Maybe you light a candle and you just focus on the flame. Maybe it's sitting in meditation. Maybe it's freaking dancing and doing yoga. Like that is what grounds you. Maybe you go outside and you literally hug your tree and you hang out with your tree. Maybe it's sitting with your familiar. or your guides. So as you get, and I know we're beginner witch 101, so you don't know how to contact your guides yet or ancestors, that's cool. But this is basically for everybody, in case you want to try something new. You've been practicing for a couple years now, and you're like, you know what? Let me try that now. Super cool. But anyway, there are some things that you just stick with, and those are just your tried and true, this is what grounds me no matter what kind of thing. I want to go into banishing also. So all of these, as you can hear, have similarities. And you're like, okay, well, if I'm cleansing and warding, aren't those like the same things? So hopefully you can see the similarities, but also the vast differences. Hopefully. If you don't, well, please let me know. And I do not mind like really having a more in-depth conversation, if you will. All right, banishing. Banishing is the removal of entities and energies we do not want in our area or within ourselves. And I know we think of just spiritually, but this can also be banishing people. So, banishing gives you the confidence to be able to perform your work and summon spirits or whoever you're bringing in to pursue this magical spell or ritual that you're doing. Um, and if anything happens to pop right in, you know that if you don't want it there, bye. You know how to get rid of it. So finding a banishing spell that works for you, and to keep the materials on hand for that banishing spell around you at all times, like stocked, would be very, very useful. So there are some herbs, some banishing herbs. You can create a sigil, which I'll go over. Um, Even if you just have a chant where like you feel something is off and you're like, oh no, we're not doing this. I banish um any energy that was not invited here. You need to leave. You are banished from this space, and you have to really envision yourself like escorting that bitch out or have like a bouncer. You can even use your plant, like a specific plant or even like a crystal, to secure the space, and that its job is to be able to, if something were to come through that wasn't supposed to come through, or it's not abiding by your boundaries, its job is to like push it out and away from you. And then, of course, once it does that, you would do that extra just sweep of whatever you need to make sure that it really did exit all the way out. And it's not just like right at the door to leave, giving like a puppy dog look, but it is out the door and away. I really like, for at least for myself, like you have a list of things like this is what I love to use for my cleansing. This is what I like to use for my wards when I have to up them or whatnot. This is how I love to ground, or what I need when I need more grounding versus, my quick visualization. And these are the things that I use for banishing. So same thing, a spray, an incense, like whatever herbs are around you. Maybe you have like a banishing candle, like a black candle, and you light that bitch up and you're just like, oh fuck no. I'm lighting, you can leave on your own or I'm gonna force you to leave. What do you want? And then light the candle, and then that's, you go about banishing that out. Um, I really recommend that for sure for everybody. Let me see if I got everything off my notes right here. Yeah, because then I go into simple rituals. Okay, cool. The last thing, well, not the last thing. One more thing I do want to throw in here is charging. So charging is the act of filling an object or something with specific energy. So maybe you've heard, oh, charge your crystals under this moon. Cool. Or charge your jewelry under this moon or whatever. An example could be from the moon, it could be sunlight, it could be charging it up with like with a certain, I don't want to say like the selenite plate, but it could be that a type of crystal. But I just need you to remember that objects itself set off energies, while others like receive. So just knowing the object that you are going to charge is receptive to the energy that you wish to charge it with, and they're not just going to like go back and forth with it. You don't always have to charge things, so you don't, I mean, when I first started, I got I got a shit ton of crystals. Like I just had a fucking ton of crystals, you guys. And then I was just like, man, I just freaking love my freaking tarot decks. And I just had all these tarot decks and oracle decks. And I was like, all right, I gotta charge everything to the full moon because that's what I'm being told on like social media and the books I'm reading. I gotta do it all the time. No. How exhausting. You can even charge your things with your energy. That takes quite a bit. I mean, I know how to do that with Reiki, but again, just to charge things up, especially if you've been if you use the same wand over and over and over again, and you're feeling like, bad boy needs a charge. It could even be like just covering it like with soil. So charge it just like you ground, that's the charge. And you just feel invigorated. Again, just being safe that things are water safe or good for you don't want to put certain crystals like in salt, things like that. You never want to put salt back on the earth. Okay, it throws everything off. Do not do it. Please, 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 please. Some other things I can add on. Please read. And some of you are probably like, fuck, dude, I don't want to read. Get an audiobook then. But there are some amazing books out there. So if you are like, man, I love candle magic. I just love staring at the fire. I love everything about the candle. Maybe you can fire scry. Maybe you can start with how to read a candle when it's burning and when it's burned out, reading wax. And the way you start is by picking up a book and reading. I mean, now it's easier. You've got YouTube. Look, you've got podcasts now. And a lot of people out there are starting to offer their knowledge and teach and add courses and whatever. I mean, I do it. I do that. So whatever your primary focus is, oh, excuse me, really expose yourself to it. So if you love making oils and creating oils, start learning about different oils and what is good for the skin. Maybe there's a really good one for the hair where you can do warding and protection magic that way. Um, Herbs, the astrology, whatever it is that you feel called to, really immerse yourself in that. In that way, if you want to get into tarot and you buy your tarot deck, knowing how to cleanse it, charge it, ground yourself, how to connect with, your said deck, how to start with the reading, maybe picking up a book outside maybe the little guidebook that comes with it so that you can get different perspectives on it. That's how I started. So, yeah, I invite you to do research. Like read articles online and continue to go. And sometimes you'll read things and you're like, I don't know about this. That's okay. Scrap it. See what someone else says about that. And I mean, if you can find a community or two or someone where you feel that sense of safety or stability, um, talk to them. There is some like learning tarot. There's communities out there. I know a lot like to use Facebook because I guess there's moderators and stuff out there and they can keep an eye on things, so that would be great. And that's what I'm creating right now, just so everyone knows out there. But whatever it is that you're into, really start to dip your toes into it. Now that you know the fundamentals of how to create a safe space for you and obviously your space and tools, and we start getting into it. If you're like, oof, not ready, or I can't do that in the space because I'm sharing it with somebody, start getting into some practices for maybe some rituals. So I needed a sip of my iced coffee. You can start with the lunar ritual, for example, right? And let's say whatever you want to do on the full moon, you learn about what the full moon means and you're in the craft in the spiritual community. What is it normally? Okay, so we release on the full moon. Okay, what do I want to release at this time? What is the sign that the moon is in? What does that mean for me? Where do I have that maybe in my birth chart? How do I get things on my birth chart? Oh, I need to know the time and date, the exact time and date that I was born and the place and oh shit, there's my birth chart. All these little things are going to open up more doors for you. All right, well, I don't got time for that right now. Cool, that's okay too. Maybe you have a ritual when you have your morning coffee. And it's as easy as stirring your intention clockwise. Today, this coffee is going to fill me with good and positive energy. And then counterclockwise, you're like, negative energy goes away from me. Or maybe there's always drama in the workplace, drama goes away from me. If you like to take it a step further with your coffee, what kind of creamer are you using? Is it flavored? What flavor, if it's vanilla, what does vanilla mean in the spiritual community? Do you add cinnamon? So adding the cinnamon and stirring it, clockwise, good luck and prosperity comes my way or finds me easy. And that is a super easy way to start a ritual. Because when you're stirring the intention, you're taking the time, you're thinking of your intention. So you're grounding yourself. You're not doing this huge spell, so hopefully your space is cleansed and cleared. Nothing major, just something you can do either easily daily or maybe weekly. Maybe you do a weekly cleansing and charging of your home. If you're already going to mop your floors on a Sunday, shoot, you might as well just gently simmer some water on the stove with whatever herbs that you want to bring into your home. Strain them out, throw them in your mop bucket, and just think of those intentions as you're mopping your floors. It's really that easy. And don't worry, I will give you like super simple, everyday things that you can do. But this is how you get started. These are your fundamentals to be safe in your space, one, physically, right? Mundane over magic, and two, how to incorporate things. Set a goal for yourself, set a focus, or this is what I really want to do as far as my craft. So just like in everyday life, you put on clean clothes. Maybe it's gonna sound funny, but maybe you put on a playlist and you just, oh, this is what I need today, as a warding, so you're protecting yourself. Maybe it grounds you, or maybe when you park in the parking lot, I've been there where you just take a deep breath and you're, all right, here we go. Instead of just that, taking intentional breaths to ground yourself. My energy is mine. Everybody else's shit stays away from me. It doesn't cling on to me. It doesn't come home with me. Done. So, yeah, that's that's my whole episode. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. Please, again, do your own research. Other ways for grounding. How to cleanse my space and continue, because you're going to find all these people with their own two tidbits, and that's going to work in your favor, especially as you're starting out. That way you're like, ooh, you know what? Susie didn't say that on the podcast, but I really like this way to ward my space. Freaking cool. And I would love to hear how you do that. You know what I mean? So I would love to hear from you guys. As always, I've been loving all the comments and I had recently put on my Instagram story like what some topics that you would like to hear. So I got some responses. Like I really do take what you want to hear very, very seriously, because this podcast isn't just for me to flap my gums. It's to reach everybody out there and answer the questions. And if there's a topic that you would love to hear about, hell yeah. I may already know and just incorporate it in an episode. Or maybe it prompts me to do some research. And hell yeah, I love learning new things. I love learning. All right, y'all. So the only other thing I have for you is to remind you that I do have a free, ding, 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 free, 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 a free master energy session coming up. And you can sign up via my website. So again, if you scroll down, you're going to see my website, and it's called The Phoenix Rising. All of the information is there. I just invite you because I love to create a safe space for us to come together virtually and not feel judgment, and to feel at ease, to feel vulnerable if you are open to it. But basically, I'm going to be going over some things that maybe you have a struggle with. So I invite you to please take advantage. I mean, it's free as free as free. You know what I mean? And I would love to hear it, hey, I'm one of your audience. I'd be like, oh, hell yeah, dude. Super cool. But anyways, the Phoenix Rising, totally free. Go to my website. You're gonna be prompted to fill out just a little section. So it's your name, the subject, which could be anything, whatever you want, and your message. And in the message, I want you to tell me your intention. So it could be general, like, hey, I'm just here for the ride. I just want to see what's going on. Maybe you're still a little skeptical. Come on in. Um, or maybe you do have an intention, like, you know what, I really need a release of my anxiety as of late. Or, man, I want to start my craft, but I feel like who am I to do this? So anything you can think of, that's what the message is for. And it'll be held on Zoom. You don't have to have your camera on. So, I mean, I would love to see your beautiful shining face, but if you feel more comfortable without the camera on, of course, by all means, you are more than welcome to turn your camera off. Okay. So, spaces are limited only because I do want to pull a card for everyone that shows up. So please make sure you sign in, and sign up. That way, you're on the wait list and all that good stuff, and you can get in. Because I really want to take care of everyone that's there and be set in my space and my energy and my grounded, beautiful energy. So that way I can be a conduit of good, positive energy to be sent your way, because we will be doing some Reiki. I'm going to give you some journal prompts. We're going to laugh. Maybe we'll cry, who knows, but we're out here at least coming together in a safe space. Okay. So yeah, don't miss out. Don't miss out. And on my website, you can also sign up to be part of my newsletter coven. Again, totally free. My newsletter coven, they always are the first to know about any offers, any programs before I post it on any of my socials. I also offer some goodies on there as well. So you don't want to miss out. Okay, my gorgeous soul, until next time, thank you so much for listening. I look forward to hearing from you. And until then, I will see you at the crossroads.